Hello and welcome. So just welcoming everybody in. Anybody who's there is very much appreciated. I think life is more appreciated in times of deprivation at some levels. Anyway, I'm JJ. And this evening, this is Sovereign Earth number 39 already. And tonight we're going to explore together pilgrimage. I see a few names and symbols coming up down there. I'm not even sure I can read from here. Albie, lovely to see you. John and Lynn, you true sort of friends on this journey. Melanie, Ava, Mark. Lovely. Liz Harris from Scotland. A few from Scotland, a few from Devon, California in there. Lovely. So pilgrimage. I'm going to start with a quote from Michael Meade. I mean, when I research these, it just brings my own awareness and perspective on these into being, into consciousness. So we'll share this pilgrimage, this journey, this sovereign earth together. A true pilgrimage involves letting go of the very things that most people try to hold on to. In seeking after what the soul desires, we become pilgrims with no home but the path the soul would have us follow. That's by Michael Meade. Interesting, isn't it? A true pilgrimage involves letting go of the things most people hold most dear. Those things most people hold most dear. And here we are. We have let go of some of the things we hold most dear. Freedom, intimacy, family, connection, touch. Yeah, we know it all. That's the beauty of this amazing time. Strange gift. We're all on a pilgrimage, I've come to realise as I've put this together. That's how it feels. So, like you, I suspect, thoughts go to those places we were free to visit before lockdown. I could go to pretty much anywhere I wanted if I had the time and the money and the wherewithal, the means of transport. So I can imagine, places of pilgrimage might be somewhere like Glastonbury Tor. Many of us know that. Most of us will know there. Or to Tintagel in Devon, Merlin's Cave perhaps, or St Nectan's Glen. All these places, or the seaside calls, the sea, to be in liminal spaces, the in-between places. And they're all in my memory, as I guess they're in yours. And they're accessible to the degree I can connect with them in this moment within, but I can't currently go there. And I value them all the more for knowing they are there and they're beautiful. And I have been a pilgrim to all those places. And the word privilege comes to mind in relation to pilgrimage. I wrote down the privilege of pilgrimage, and I think it's wonderful that those words have a poetic resonance. The pilgrimage, the privilege, I've tongue-tied myself, the privilege of pilgrimage. Isn't it just? What a privilege to be able to go on a pilgrimage. And maybe I'll appreciate it all the more when I can go the outward. But we're also going to look at the inward pilgrimage for our journey. We'll have a song in a minute. Actually, let's just share 3 breaths and 3 Arwins and ground this and set our common purpose, this pilgrimage. So I invite us to take 3 breaths together. First breath, deep breath for the sacred and beautiful earth beneath us. A second breath for the remarkably blue of late sky, the blue of the sky. Deep breath for the sky. And a third breath for the waters that surround these lands, wherever we are. Deep breath. And let's share 3 Awens together, sacred word of spirit, blessed breath, deep breath. An. Please join me. An. And a pilgrimage might set out with an intent, or it may not. But the intention for this evening, great mystery, great spirit, goddess, spirit of the land, spirit of this time and of this place. Guide us on a journey to savour, celebrate and sing a pilgrimage together. Let us explore the beauty and the intricacies and the simplicity of pilgrimage. Okay, so what is pilgrimage? Well, it seems to involve, and can involve, often involves going off on a long journey to a quieter place, to perhaps a sacred place, to a place of contemplation, spaciousness. It involves, as has been intimated in that quote, letting go of what we know, leaving behind and going into a new world which we don't quite know when we set off. So there's a degree of risk in a pilgrimage, I guess. And the wonderful thing, the word pilgrim comes from peregrinus, which literally means a traveller from afar. A traveller from a far off place. And I'm struck by the relationship with the word peregrine, as in peregrine falcon. I'm not quite sure, this is my poetic sort of mind kicking in. The peregrine, fast traveller, travel from afar, whoosh. But it also has a great oversight, capacity to take the wider view. And maybe that's the link. Maybe the pilgrim can take a wider view. Let's have a song. So I tend to try and have 3 songs, one early on, this one, then another in the middle and one towards the end. Roughly, or at least loosely, along the theme. So this one's The River is Flowing and Growing, because the river is on a pilgrimage to the sea. The river is flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me down to the sea. I'd love it if we could all join in. The river is flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me down to the sea. Once more, the river is flowing and growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Mother Earth, carry me, your child I will always be. Mother Earth, carry me down to the sea. it's lovely to have song alongside on a pilgrimage. I'm just aware of when I've been on pilgrimages and how song has been an integral part of that. But the beauty of the river flowing, growing and flowing and growing as it makes its way to the sea. It's pilgrimage. Nature's pilgrimage. We talked about pilgrimage as being involving a loss of status, or at least a loss of your everyday, a leveller. And lo and behold, where are we in this process together? But I want to I'd like to just have a few minutes. I'm going to relay a pilgrimage I can relate to as just to get a handle and connect with a pilgrimage in the outer world. What does that mean? And I'm just going to touch on a pilgrimage, and I could choose many places, but I'm going to choose Iona, which may be dear to others' hearts here. But Iona is a great exemplar for me of what pilgrimage is about. So I've been there a few times in my life, and I feel very connected with it. It pulls me, there's a draw. So pilgrimage, something calls. There's a calling, isn't there? And I just recall, I'll take the first time I went there. When would that have been? Mid-1990s. And it involved a journey. So pilgrimage will involve a journey, but the more, it's interesting to me, the more convoluted and enduring the journey, the more depth to the pilgrimage. So I travelled up from Gloucestershire to Glasgow. I think I possibly went on a coach. And then at Glasgow I changed across to the railway at the station, went on a train up through the Highlands. Beautiful journey up through really magical countryside, up to Oban on the coast. And then in Oban, on the western coast of Scotland, a ferry across to Mull. And then on Mull, a coach across Mull to another ferry, shorter ferry across to Iona, which you can see across the water there. And then having reached the island, still a pilgrimage to a place of where I was staying. Now what's interesting, that first journey, I stepped off the ferry and I felt a real connection to the place. I felt something, you can say it's imagined, but I felt a deep resonance with that place, with that land. And I'd gone over for a retreat. And when I got to the local shop, I discovered, it wasn't the shop. I went along to the hostel where we were due to have the retreat. I was a day early. Typical for me. Those who know me. I was a day early. I thought, oh gosh, sugar. So I didn't have anywhere to stay, actually. I wasn't too worried. It was a beautiful day. It was this time of year, April. And I walked down to the southern beach, down Columbus Bay on the south of the island. Quite a walk, and it's fairly remote down there. People don't live down there. And I sat down on that beach in the afternoon and enjoyed it so much. And I just was called to stay. It's crazy when I look at it now. I knew it would be cold, and I didn't have a sleeping bag. But I stayed overnight on that beach. Quite a connection, quite an initiation into the island. It was the longest night of my life and the coldest probably, and I probably could have frozen to death. Anyway, it was a very beautiful. It lasted a long time, and the moon was shining over towards Ireland. There were all sorts of things about Iona that I could touch in on. So what speaks to me in the moment, Dunai, they call it the mountain. It's a hill. It's the highest point of Iona, with at the top the spring of eternal youth, which has become very special to me at other times in my life, and the whole sense of the island of a sacred place. And it's no coincidence that many of the kings of Scotland are buried there, and of Norway, and of Orkney, and elsewhere. Vikings as well, I believe. a very special place. And it calls to me now. Not that I have a deep longing to go right in this minute. I know I can't, but I feel a resonance with it. So that's an outer pilgrimage. And the reason I kind of relate that is we'll all have places in this world, places perhaps of our birth, places where our ancestors are buried. Those are good places of pilgrimage, aren't they? Where the ashes of my ancestors, or where they're buried, or where spirit in relation to the path I follow is best represented. So pilgrimage. Here's a lovely. We're gonna have another song in a minute, but this is a lovely sentence from one guy, Guy Stagg. He said, "I noticed how the minutes slowed and the silence assembled until the days were worth more than they had been before." Is this resonating? I noticed how the minutes slowed and the silence assembled until the days were worth more than they had been before. That's kind of where it feels we're at with this experience too. So there's two songs I could have at this point, two different ones. What am I drawn to? This one. This is quite pilgrimagey. I'm on an endless journey through eternity. Peace, be still, there is nowhere to rush. I'm on an endless journey through eternity. Peace, be still, there is nowhere to rush. I'm on an endless journey through eternity. Peace, be still, there is nowhere to rush. I'm on an endless journey through eternity. Peace, be still, there is nowhere to rush. Okay, in that spirit, just holding that energy, and let's go deeper and let's go inside now. And I invite us to close our eyes. A deep breath. These love notes to ourselves, the breath. So going deeper with the breath. And relaxing. And in your mind's eye, I invite you, those who are familiar will be familiar with where we are and where we're going. But I invite us all now to go into a forest. The beauty of the trees, and at this, it can be whatever season where you are at this moment. And here in the UK, it's spring. Particularly beautiful spring, unusually so, vibrant. And you're walking through the forest and observing the bluebells, primroses, the wood anemone, and any other flowers of familiarity in your locality. And just really smelling and savouring the smell of this place, this woodland. Savouring the sounds of this woodland. Birds rustling. the odd small creature perhaps. Savouring the beauty of what you can see, the beauty of the flowers, of the trees, of the grass, of the earth. And what can you feel in relation to this place? And walking forward along a path, I invite us to enter a glade, a large clearing, with a great circle of trees within it, a grove, a sacred grove of trees. Excuse me. And we come into circle in this grove, so all of us here present, we form this beautiful circle of friendship, of pilgrims, fellow pilgrims in circle. And there at the centre, what's calling a large rock and a large tree, and a smaller tree on the other side of the rock. What are they for you? How do they appear? And you walk forward and you take yourself to whichever of those three most calls, the large tree, the rock, or the small tree, and you sit down next to it. And in your mind's eye, in that imagined space, you close your eyes and you sit down perhaps, make yourself really comfortable on the earth, the life-giving sacred earth beneath. And you allow your mind to wander to a time and a place of pilgrimage in your life. A significant place to you in this world of pilgrimage that means something to you. And if you can't think of anything, imagine it. What calls? So each of us will have a different image, a different experience in a way, but something different is coming up for each of us. But what is your unique place or point of pilgrimage? And what is significant about it for you? Can you just spend a moment connecting with it? Can you perhaps smell it? Even taste it? I invite you to try. What's it taste like? You reach out and touch it. What does it feel like to touch? What does it sound like? What does it look like? Feast your eyes. What? I invite you to just open to the possibility. What is its essence? What is its message for you? So kind of holding that gift within, you open your eyes within that sacred space, the imagined space, and you gently rise to your feet and give gratitude to whatever you want to give gratitude to in that place, in that moment. You walk gently and gracefully and gratefully to the edge of the circle. And you turn around, and I like to imagine giving a little bow or even a little curtsy, and I vary it for a bit of fun. Maybe give a little curtsy in thanks. And turning and making your way back through the wood. And making your way back past the bluebells or the primroses or the wood anemones or whatever flowers. Back through the wood and back to this place, wherever that is for you. Back to this space where we are now. So maybe I was able to a degree, linking into the essence of my own pilgrimage and just bringing back some of that into this space right now, holding the gifts of that experience. It doesn't need words. The purpose of a pilgrimage is about setting aside a long period of time in which the only focus is to be matters of the soul. Many believe that pilgrimage is about going away, but it isn't. It's about coming home. Those who choose to go on a pilgrimage have already ventured away from themselves and now set out in a journey of longing back to who they really are. It's interesting, those who choose to go on a pilgrimage, and here we all are, none of us especially chose this, or did we? We're all on a pilgrimage. To feel the pull, the draw, the interior attraction, and to want to follow it, even if it is still without a name. That is the pilgrim spirit. The why only becomes clear with the passage of time, long after the journey's over, long after the walking's over, it says here. So it doesn't need a name. It's trusting. There's a lot of trust in pilgrimage, opening to what I call the pool of unknowing. Entering the pool of unknowing, as we have done collectively, in fact globally. If you want to hear the voice that directs your personal pilgrimage, you must find a way to keep your ear glued to your body's fragile shell. I like that one, Curtis Jones. If you want to hear the voice that directs your personal pilgrimage, you must find a way to keep your ear glued to your body's fragile shell. Reminds me, like, when we put a seashell to our ear and we can hear the sea. It's kind of calling us back to our origins, to our source. And something about pilgrimage is quite clever. And glue the ear to our fragile shell. What's calling? Where's our soul journey? Yeah, and to be a pilgrim is to be heading for an undefined place, a place that is destinationless. It's an interesting word, isn't it? And here we are. Right, a song. Every breath is sacred, every breath I take. Every step is sacred, every step I make. When I hear with ears of love, when I see with eyes of love, when I hold with arms of love, every breath is sacred, every breath I take. Every step is sacred, every step I make. When I hear with ears of love, when I see with eyes of love, when I hold with arms of love. One last time together. Every breath is sacred, every breath I take. Every step is sacred, every step I make. When I hear with ears of love, when I see with eyes of love, when I hold with arms of love. I've got no idea who's out there beyond those I read at the start, but there'll be others, and I feel held. Isn't it interesting, this paradox? We're so isolated and remote, more remote than we've ever been in one way, more connected than we've ever been in another way. What paradox. I just want to finish, love and blessings to you all. I want to finish with a reading that kind of captured, to try and sum the whole thing up. Michael Meade, he wrote a brilliant, fabulous book called Fate and Destiny, 2 Agreements of the Soul. So here we go. One of the open secrets of life on earth is that the answer to life's burning question has been inscribed on one's soul all along. The soul is a kind of ancient vessel that holds the exact knowledge we seek and need to find our way in life. Holds the exact knowledge we seek and need in order to find our way in life. Each life is a pilgrimage intended to arrive at the centre of the pilgrim's soul. From that vantage point, the issue is not whether we managed to choose the right God or the only way to live life righteously. Such notions fail to recognise the inborn intimacy each soul already has with the divine. And what I've been inspired by on this particular exploration of pilgrimage is the fuller realisation that we are on this mass pilgrimage. Many people walk the Camino Way, France and Spain, that pilgrimage route to Compostela, whatever it's called. And many people have done that. Some of you, I've no doubt. But here we all are, in some way, in some shape, in some form, we're on this pilgrimage into the unknown. So I send my love to all of you. It's always a joy to link in. It's one of the things, one of my heart points of the week, amongst many. Anyway, some of you might join me on Friday for Earth Service, which will be more chanting and the occasional poem, but much more chanting and singing. So all my love, go well. Let's see if I'll blow the candle out. love and blessings for the good of all beings.